As cases stay low, Delhi unlocks further. Bars allowed to be open till 10 p.m. with 50% seating, parks, gardens to reopen for visitors. A new Delta Plus variant could become a variant of concern if unchecked, says the director of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. All COVID deaths shall be certified as COVID deaths in death certificates. Failure will invite action, including against the doctor who certifies, says the centre in the top court. Fuel prices hiked across the country 27 times since May. Fuel prices have already crossed the 100 rupees per litre mark in 8 states and union territories. On Father's Day, what of those who lost their guiding light to the pandemic? We speak with a 26-year-old COVID warrior who lost his father, an AIIMS doctor who lost his father to COVID. And meet the 83-year-old grandmother who's setting fitness goals. Good evening. Thank you for joining us on NDTV. I'm Sarah Jacob. The top story right now, the Delhi government has allowed the opening of bars from Monday, extended the timing for restaurants by 2 hours. All of this part of a new increasing lifting of anti-COVID restrictions. Public parks and gardens finally are going to be reopened. Golf clubs, outdoor yoga activities will now be allowed by the Arvind Kejriwal government, and bars are going to be able to be open till 10 p.m. with 50% capacity seating. The Delhi government has said this, announced this in a fresh order today. Restaurants now can stay open from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. instead of the current 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And this fresh phase of relaxation comes amidst warnings by doctors and public health experts about the risks of a rapid unlock.
India is unlocking, the national capital is unlocking in a phased manner. With every week, activities are being unlocked and reopened for people to come take part in it. But from tomorrow onwards, the latest is that bars in the national capital will reopen after a long gap of almost 2 months, but with a restriction of only 50% capacity. At the same time, restaurants which have already reopened, it's been already a week, these restaurants will now open for longer duration, which means they can be open from instead of 8 p.m. till about 10 p.m. in the night. I'm at one such dine-in restaurant, a bar-cum restaurant, which is already looking forward to reopening and welcoming customers from tomorrow onwards. But let's take a look at it with a different aspect this time, because we are living in times of a pandemic. Speaking with me right now is Mr. Nitin of Pebble Street in south of Delhi. Thank you for speaking to us. Tell us a little bit about bars reopening from tomorrow and what's the look ahead, what's the plan? This time though, it's going to be before a possible third wave, but what is it going to look like at your restaurant?
Like we are opening after another gap during this COVID era, so we're looking forward to welcoming the guests. We are following all the protocols which have been given, underlined to us and given to us by the government authorities. Like we are working on a 50% capacity, and we would continue to do so till the COVID ends. We are taking guest temperatures. We are getting their hands sanitized. We are sanitizing the surfaces. Every hour, one of the dedicated employees, he comes over and sanitizes the surfaces with the sanitizing liquid, and we are maintaining distance between the tables. We are working only on a 50% capacity. So, the tables...
So like you mentioned, that you're also maintaining a gap, a social distancing within the occupied tables. And if I can just show you, and if I can ask our camera person to show that actually at restaurants, there is a gap of, there's a gap that is maintained between tables here, which is one of the measures that has been followed and is a protocol, in fact, a guideline of the center to ensure that there is social distancing wherever and whenever possible.
Meanwhile, the Telangana government's decision to reopen schools and colleges and start physical classes in 10 days has raised huge concerns. Some are calling it irresponsible on the part of the government, and they want the government to reconsider, especially since children don't have vaccines and young adults are not fully vaccinated.
No lockdown in Telangana from 6 a.m. today. Restrictions in all sectors have been lifted. What is raising concern though is the decision to have physical classes for all students from the 1st of July.
Right now we feel that this decision can wait, and even though we are looking forward to this a lot, we personally feel that this can take a back seat right now because safety is a #1 priority right now.
With the current situation being what it is, just coming out of the second wave, a third wave on the way, I really don't think this is a good idea.
I feel it not so safe because I'm worried about my little sister. She's not at all concerned about this COVID thing. She won't at all take care of herself. There are a lot more people out there who won't take care of themselves. So I don't feel it safe taking out this lockdown.
In March, schools had reopened with lots of precautions but had to be closed soon afterwards.
Schools open చేస్తే చాలా రిస్క్ అవుతుంది కదా. థర్డ్ వేవ్ మెయిన్ చిల్డ్రన్ మీద ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది అంటున్నారు. చిన్న పిల్లలకి కూడా అంటే అబోవ్ 5th క్లాస్ నుంచి అంటే ఓకే వాళ్ళు కొంచెం ఫాలో అవ్వగలుగుతారు. మనం చెప్పేవి ఇంటి దగ్గర చెప్పిన వాళ్ళు గుర్తుపెట్టుకొని ఫాలో అవుతారు. ప్రీ కేజెస్ వాళ్ళు, నర్సరీ వాళ్ళు, 1st to 4th వాళ్ళు అంత చేయలేరు. అంతసేపు మాస్క్ పెట్టుకోవడం కూడా మంచిది కాదని ఆల్రెడీ మనకి డాక్టర్స్ చెప్తున్నారు. మరి ఈ టైంలో స్కూల్స్ ఓపెన్ చేయడం ఎంతవరకు కరెక్ట్ అది గవర్నమెంట్ ఆలోచించుకోవాలి.
The 18+ students are just getting their first jab of vaccine, and for those in school, there is still no vaccine yet.
The Telangana government has said its decision to lift all lockdown restrictions is based on reports from the health department that says that the positivity rate in the state has dipped. Just in the last 24 hours, less than 1,400 cases and 10 deaths. Whereas students as well as parents are urging the government to reconsider its decision to open schools and colleges to physical classes within the next 10 days. In Hyderabad, with camera person Nagaraju, Uma Sudhir, NDTV.
And that's not all. Now a Delta Plus variant, a mutated version of the more aggressive B.1.61702 strain that drove the second wave of infections in India, is undergoing additional mutation, which could become a variant of concern if unchecked, has said the director of the All India Institute of Medical Sciences, adding that India needs to learn from the UK, where the said variant is causing a surge in cases.
Delta Plus variant now in India, this is a further mutation to the already present Delta variant. What more do we know about it, and is it a cause of concern?
So the Delta Plus is a variant which is in the same lineage as Delta variant. So it's in the same if you look at the phylogenetic tree, it's in the same lineage. But with a slight change, there is one more mutation which has been found, which could be a cause of concern, because this mutation, the 417, is something which may change the virus to some extent as far as its infectivity is concerned. This was also found, as far as I remember, in Brazil. So what we need to do is, we need to observe. Currently, the WHO has said that this is a variant of interest, but it could become a variant of concern because currently the number of cases are less. Now, will this variant, this Delta Plus, again become the dominant variant? Will it start causing more cases? That is something we need to observe very closely over the next few weeks. And therefore, it's very important that we continue our aggressive genome sequencing to see now, are we seeing more of the Delta or the Delta Plus, and how is the virus behaving in terms of these two variants in our community.
And as many states start unlocking, petrol and diesel prices are touching new hikes. After a fresh hike, petrol prices have already crossed 100 rupees per litre in 8 states and union territories.
Since the 4th of May, fuel prices have been hiked across India 27 times. Petrol prices have already crossed 100 rupees per litre in 8 states and union territories. This when inflation is already on the rise. Other commodities, including edible oil, gas prices, are scaling highs, impacting the livelihoods of many middle and lower middle class in the times of a pandemic. In Mumbai, petrol prices have crossed 103 rupees 36 paise a litre. Prashant Deolkar is an ambulance driver who works with COVID patients. Prashant says he uses his bike to go to the hospital every day to pick up the ambulance. But now with rising fuel prices, he says it is becoming unaffordable for him.
अभी उसमें 14,000 मिल रहा है, 14,000 में क्या असर मिलेगा? 10,000 घर में देने का या 3,000 का पेट्रोल भरने का क्या 1,000 रुपए खुद का खाने के लिए पैसा रखेगा.
In another metro, similar stories. In much of Karnataka, including Bengaluru, lockdown restrictions are being lifted from Monday. This means more vehicles on the roads of the city, both public transport and private vehicles.
Everybody is relying on the lockdown being lifted, but the government isn't taking good enough restrictions. So the government needs to do something to help the people out. They are here because they need to feed their families. I also need to feed my family. That's why I'm here.
In the national capital, petrol prices have shot up to Rs 98 per litre and diesel at 88 rupees per litre, and the common man is left with no choice but to dip into their savings.
देखो मैम, पहले जो पेट्रोल था पर डे का, इसमें अभी मेरा पर मंथली कम से कम 7 से 8 हजार रुपए का पेट्रोल लगता है.
पहले कितना था?
पहले ही 6-7 हजार रुपए का लगता था.
In 27 heights, petrol prices have risen by 6 rupees 82 paise per litre and diesel prices by 7 rupees 24 paise a litre. During the second wave and subsequent lockdowns, many people lost their jobs, salaries went down, and with continuous rising of petrol and diesel prices, it is also impacting the overall retail and wholesale inflation, pushing the prices of essential commodities even higher. With Maya Sharma in Bengaluru and Sonakshi Chakravarti in New Delhi, this is Purva Chitnis in Mumbai for NDTV.
And in other news from around the country, a Shiv Sena MLA has now said that the party should team up with the BJP again to save its leaders from being harassed by central agencies. In a letter to the Maharashtra Chief Minister, the legislator Pratap Sarnaik has said that the former allies must patch up before it's too late, especially for the many upcoming corporation elections, including those of Mumbai and Thane.
महाराष्ट्र में कांग्रेस को चाहने वाला बड़ा वर्ग है और वो चाहते हैं कि कांग्रेस खुद के बलबूते पे पुनः महाराष्ट्र में आए. ये लोगों की भावना है और उसका मैं सम्मान करतो.
आणि त्यांची अस्वस्थता आपण लक्षात न घेता केवळ सोबळाचा नारा दिला, एका हाती सत्ता आणू, लोक जोड्याने आणतील. लोक म्हणतील की तुझी सत्ता आणि सोबळ ठेव, तुझ्याकडे पहिलं मला भाकरी कशी देणार ते सांग.
And of course, the question there is all not well then between the alliance. Meanwhile, let's get you a special report on the UAPA, or the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. It's now an anti-terror law that makes bail difficult for those booked under it. Whether it's the Kerala journalist Siddiq Kappan or the Kashmiri journalist Asif Sultan, bail has been elusive. The law in the recent past has been used against journalists, academics, students and activists to suppress dissent, and in most UAPA cases the accused spend years in prison as courts are reluctant to grant them bail, and release from prison is often delayed for months, even when the evidence is questionable. Eventually, when acquittals do come, the accused have lost years of their lives, like Mohammad Irfan and Mohammad Ilyas from Nandad in Maharashtra.
This is 33-year-old Mohammad Irfan reaching his hometown Nanded after release from Navi Mumbai's Taloja prison late on Tuesday night. An anti-terror court in Mumbai acquitted Irfan and another person of all charges in a case where they were charged of having links with the Pakistan-based LET under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or UAPA. The court cited lack of evidence for the acquittal, and the acquittal comes 9 years after they were arrested in 2012, which Irfan recalls vividly.
जी ऐसी चीज़ पूछी जो मैं जानता ही नहीं, फिर मेरे को सीधा बिठा के एक कमरे में फिर रात में 9 बजे निकाले और लेकर चले गया औरंगाबाद. ऐसी सिचुएशन थी कि मैं समझ ही नहीं सका कि क्या हुआ. ये मेरे पास 2 दिन के बाद मुझे मालूम पड़ता है कि मुझे आतंकवाद घोषित किया गया है. यानी ऐसी चीज़ कि जो मैं ख्वाबों में भी नहीं सोच सकता था, वो मेरे सामने आ गई कि आतंकवाद क्या है, जबकि मैं अपनी दुकान पे बैठा हुआ था, ना मैंने किसी को मारा ना किसी को गाली दिया.
Before his arrest, Irfan owned and ran an inverter battery shop. In multiple bail applications over the last 9 years, he reiterated that there was no evidence against him. He was briefly out of prison in 2019 as the Bombay High Court granted bail, but was back in jail after the Supreme Court stayed the High Court order. The NIA told the Supreme Court there could be recurrence of crime, which might affect the security of the nation. but the Special Anti-Terror Court ultimately ruled there was no evidence against them. 12 people accused in the riots that took place in East Bengaluru in August last year have been released this week. The Karnataka High Court granted them bail, as the NIA is yet to file a charge sheet within the stipulated time in this case.
In DJHL KCHL issues, the state police has registered more than 70 cases. Out of these 70 cases, 2 cases investigation is given to the NIA, which has invoked UAPA in this matter. So as per the law, after 90 days of the investigation, they have to move application before the trial court seeking a further permissions to investigate for further 90 days to file a charge sheet. In this event, the NIA has moved application on 3rd November 2020 for seeking permission for the further investigation.
But others like Kashmiri journalist Asif Sultan, who has been booked under UAPA, is in jail for more than 1,000 days now, away from his family. He has been jailed for not revealing his sources for a news story, according to activists. The police say his name came up during the investigation following an encounter with terrorists in August 2018 and claimed to have seized sheets of paper printed with the letterhead of the proscribed militant outfit Hizbul Mujahideen from Asif's possession. The Committee to Protect Journalists, CPJ, based in New York, wrote a letter to the Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeking his release, but Asif continues to remain in jail. A court in Mathura on Wednesday dropped 3 bailable charges against journalist Siddiq Kappan, but he continues to stay in prison under UAPA and sedition charges. Kappan was arrested and booked under the UAPA when he was on his way to cover the Hathras gang rape incident in September last year. The UP police booked him under UAPA, saying he was going to Hathras to disrupt peace. Kappan says, "Have faith in the Constitution." Kappan's mother passed away while he still remains in prison. Between 2015 and 2019, the conviction rate under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or UAPA, was below 2% nationally. Only 155 of the 7,840 arrested on terror charges under UAPA were convicted. But given the serious implications of the law as it deals with terror, courts are not inclined to granting bail, and that means those booked under the law end up languishing in prison for years, even if an acquittal comes much later. With Maya Sharma in Bengaluru and camera person Praveen Ji Rohit in Mumbai, Saurabh Gupta, NDTV.
And today on Father's Day, many are celebrating. But for what of those who lost their guiding light to the pandemic? Life will never be the same. NDTV spoke to 26-year-old Dr. Aditya Gupta, whose heartfelt note about his father, Group Captain Sanjay Gupta's demise on the 30th of April went viral on Twitter. His father was a fighter pilot who served in the Indian Air Force for 34 years, and he passed away at the age of 55 after a long battle with cancer and eventually succumbed to COVID. Dr. Aditya had described the death in his note as a country lost a warrior and a COVID warrior lost his father.
For a lot of people, बहुत लोगों के लिए their fathers are an authority figure. For me, he was not one of them. He was someone who was jovial, someone who was जो कि बहुत ही खुले दिल के थे, हर एक पार्टी की जान होते थे, और मेरे सबसे अच्छे दोस्त थे.
It is Father's Day, but 26-year-old Aditya Gupta, a resident doctor in Delhi's AIIMS, only has memories left of his father. Group Captain Sanjay Gupta was a fighter pilot who flew MiG-21 and served in the Indian Air Force for 34 years. In December 2019, he was diagnosed with leukemia, a type of cancer. He was still fighting that battle when he caught COVID this April and passed away 15 days later. Dr. Aditya remembers how his father frequently visited him in his AIIMS hostel and how proud he used to be.
When I was preparing for my entrances 12th के बाद जब AIIMS में I got in rank 6th, उस समय he called me up from Ahmedabad. I was in Delhi and he called me up and told me that Aditya, he used to call me Kolu प्यार से, Kolu तेरी rank 6th आई है, and that is the happiest moment of my life. He just cleared my DM entrance for pediatric oncology and I wanted to call him up and say, Papa, मेरी इसमें भी rank आ गई, and I have cleared this also, and just wanted to him say that for him to congratulate me or him to say well done beta, those were the things I always wished to hear from him.
His father wanted to serve the society even post-retirement. But now Aditya plans to fulfill those aspirations while saving others who are battling cancer.
वो खुद Air Force में थे and he was like a big part of the society that was helping building of this nation. He was going to retire 2 more years after that. He had a LLB degree, either he'll become a lawyer to help people or he'll join politics as a medium in order to help people. So ये मुझे अभी भी लगता है कि जो मैं किसी तरह उनका एक अंश हूँ, उनकी तरह उनका ही वो हूँ, तो वो नहीं तो किसी तरह मैं करता रहूँ at least.
In New Delhi with camera person Mohammad Mursalin, this is Sukirti Dwivedi for NDTV.
We're going to go in for a short break, but after that we'll bring you an 83-year-old grandmother who is setting fitness goals. And finally, the pandemic has led to the emergence of many fitness influencers, but move over and brace yourselves. Here's an 83-year-old granny who's breaking the mold, proving that age is just a number.
Chennai's Kiran Bai is 83 years young. The great-grandmother lifts weights, does strength training, and even has her own leg press 40 kilos heavy. Kiran works out thrice a week for an hour. She started the workout last year when she felt weak amid the lockdown. Kiran loved it as she gained strength and nothing would stop her since then.
इन्हीं के नंबर संतोष में रख लाना है, जाली रख लाना के नंबर वाले से जा संतोष में रख दे मन से वही इसको अंदर को उन्होंने संबंध करिया दे.
It was the idea of Kiran's grandson Chirag, a fitness trainer. Her Instagram videos went viral. She has become a poster girl for fitness. Eleiko, a Swiss company, even donated her a lifting kit with weights.
We're really happy that it's reaching so many people. It's inspiring people to get stronger. A lot of people are reaching out to us to ask for help or some advice on how we can go about this.
For many who forget physical fitness, citing the pandemic or the lockdown, like me, Kiran Bai is an inspiration. In Chennai with Shah Vijay, Sam Daniel, Find TV.
So what's your excuse not to? That's the news at this hour. Bye-bye.